Welcome to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. It's Tuesday, May 20th. It's day 120th of the Trump administration. It doesn't seem like that long, does it, Olga Lautman?
Now it feels like year 120.
I'm sure, yeah, it has, because we've been working so hard on exposing all this tyranny that's coming our way. And there's lots of news today. We'll just give everyone a minute to gather here at the start of this call. But, did you see Trump today? Did you see him on the Hill? Did you get a chance to see him?
I saw a snippet, like literally.
Literally walked into a wall, like in what is quite a senile moment. Mike Johnson had to pull him back and get into to follow the right directions, but he was looking a little
No.
haggard, a little out of touch, and he walked. Ended his state comments, went right into a wall. So there you go. That's so much for calling other presidents senile.
Oh, hopefully that's where he hits a wall with everything he's trying to do.
Yeah, it seemed like he had
Let's
a good
pray.
meeting though with unfortunately with the representatives, but we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of holdouts in the big beautiful bill. But let's get to the Trump tyranny tracker for day 120. The lead story: the Trump administration is systematically dismantling safeguards against political prosecution while simultaneously targeting critics. FBI Director Kash Patel has confirmed an investigation into New York Attorney General Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud, while the DOJ is considering stripping its public integrity section of oversight on lawmaker prosecutions. This is a very big deal. Meanwhile, Rep. Monica McIver faces federal assault charges after attempting congressional oversight at an ICE detention facility. You remember this was a big thing with the mayor of Newark, was also arrested. This pattern suggests a real coordinated effort that they're doing what we thought they would do, which is weaponize the Department of Justice.
Yes, absolutely. So to start with the broader picture and zoom in, the Department of Justice has a specific unit when it comes to prosecuting and investigating elected officials. And normally everything is supposed to go through this, and they wanted to dismantle it and basically put this in the hands of U.S. attorneys, which we see Lena Haba and others that
It's crazy.
Trump is trying to
This is
install.
Trump's
And
former attorney, right? Is in
yes,
charge there? I mean, it's unbelievable.
and at the same time, he's also trying to install his other attorney, Bove, the one who has been, firing everyone in Department of Justice, and who was involved in dropping the Eric Adams case. He also wants to put him. So you could just get a taste of what kind of, U.S. prosecutors we're gonna have. And now they want to remove this safeguard that was put in after Watergate to prevent the prosecution of elected officials for political purposes, to, basically put it into the hands of these attorneys. Now, we saw this with a congresswoman who, was charged yesterday. Kash Patel basically said that Letitia James is under investigation for quote unquote mortgage fraud, which is bullshit. I mean, this we really are in Russia territory.
Mhm.
And at the same time, there's a Chicago mayor who is now under investigation because he made a comment, that he is proud that he has filled his administration with black officials. Apparently, this warrants an investigation also. Um, so it just goes back to the bigger point that now Trump is settling in, and we're in, day 120. He's settling in, and now he's getting more and more comfortable with his loyalists that he has installed to now begin his retribution. And I mean, this is literally the beginning of it. What we're
Yeah.
going to see is going to snowball from here, on out until we stop it.
It's so important that you mentioned the context around the public integrity section at the DOJ because
Hmm.
it was created after Watergate. It's designed to to stop things like Watergate from happening, to stop bad corruption inside the executive branch. And here we are seeing it yet again emerging. It's almost like they're declaring it a thing that they're doing. They're going to be using the DOJ to arrest critics of Donald Trump and to charge critics of Donald Trump and the administration. And there's just no doubts about it. This is their plan. This is what
And
they'll be doing.
on how many so far? He is threatening to investigate Harris,
Mhm.
Oprah Winfrey. And I mean, at this point, before, if in 2017, we could say, whatever, he's just saying this.
Beyonce.
Beyonce, and now he can actually do it.
Mm.
Bruce Springsteen. Then we have Chris Krebs, who's already under an investigation. We have Miles Taylor already under investigation. So I mean, you see this expanding, and Comey under an investigation and taken in, you know, uh, to Hague for questioning, and then you have the mayor of Newark who was arrested, judges arrested. So you see now now that his loyalists are in place, you see them shifting over and like speeding up these retribution. And I mean, it's going to get ugly. I mean,
Now that
really,
you put
it's
them all in a list for us like that, that's very revealing. I mean, there's like, a dozen people, maybe more, already targeted, and it looks like it's going to keep growing. I mean, now that they're in place, they've
absolutely.
got the machinery in place, they've got everyone sort of compliant, they'll keep doing it. And it's terrifying as well what's happening over at CBS News, where there's another form of intimidation going on against the media there. The news chief executive officer, Wendy McMahon, was forced out after a lot of pressure regarding the 60 Minutes. You remember Bill Owens was the executive producer of that show. He resigned a few weeks ago because of corporate interference. Now McMahon is out the door. This indicates that potentially CBS or Paramount is about to cut a deal with the president, with Donald Trump, for a lawsuit that he has got against them. It's a $20 billion lawsuit related to a piece they did with Kamala Harris during the election campaign. And this is a very troubling precedent. I mean, 60 Minutes is a venerable organization. It's always been independent. Now, Paramount, the head office, want to know what's on every single show before it airs.
I mean, this is the problem. This is when you're officially entering authoritarian territory. We're not there as far as with media because there hasn't been a full capture of media. We are moving there, like with Department of Justice, with the IRS being weaponized, um, with Trump ignoring court orders. But media is still hanging out. But there are two main things that extremely are worrying. One, he is targeting independent media outlets, um, putting pressure on them. And what will happen? You're going to see a lot of self censorship because journalists will not want to fall into, the wrath of the Department of Justice or IRS or anyone else, any other agency. And this is, very troubling because as much as I knock media for, I mean, you turn on CNN, they're discussing nonsense. Um, while we have serious things facing the country. But I mean, you do need independent media to
Mhm.
hold officials accountable. And I can tell you in Russia, I remembered it like it was yesterday when Putin came into power, because with the Soviets and the Russians, they know whoever controls the information space is the one who can control the people. And he immediately, whatever, like, beginnings of an independent media there was, he immediately started seizing these outlets. I mean, he even shut down a puppet show that kind of mocked him. I mean, it was for fun. It wasn't anything
Mm.
devious. He even shut that down. So, I mean,
Mm.
this is one of the first things I was worried about. And
Mm.
you see, like, with AP being banned from official White House events, um, Reuters, NPR under investigation. I mean, CBS being targeted. You see, our agencies are
Mm.
being weaponized to try to silence these, media organizations.
And we've always said that it's about 6 months before these dictators are able to really consolidate power to a point where they can't really be tipped back. And we're approaching that 6 month mark now, and we're seeing how they're doing it with this concerted effort to crush criticism and this concerted effort to suppress the media. And what you're saying about the self censorship, they're calling it news avoidance. Now is the topic inside newsrooms where journalists I just don't want to cover certain stories because they know if they do, they'll get in trouble with the president or the administration, and then they'll find could lose their job. So people aren't even covering the news because they're too terrified to cover it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we already are, put on a watch list, basically, that U.S. is becoming a dangerous country for journalists to operate. I mean, this is not where we should be. We should be, we were the champions of free press prior to this. And, over the past decade, since Trump, came onto the political stage, he's been chipping away. And now with him having full control of all agencies, we're now going to be, I mean, he started literally when he came, announced he was running for election in 2015, like immediately, the press was the enemy of the people. Who said this? This is a Soviet saying. And, now he has the power to silence the press because he has hijacked every single agency.
I wonder if there is a blacklist already inside the White House or within the
Oh, yeah,
executive. I'm
absolutely.
sure there is. I
Oh,
wouldn't be surprised. Um, no, two other big stories that we want to cover today. One is regarding Doge, the cuts that Trump and Musk instituted, especially at the National Nuclear Security Administration, has left them really understaffed, with experts warning of a recipe for disaster as the U.S. modernizes its $1.7 trillion arsenal. The other big story is the Western intelligence agencies are warning that Russia's war in Ukraine could, if it ends in Putin's favor, which it could, Moscow plans to redeploy up to 800,000 troops to NATO's borders, right along Finland, in the Baltics and Poland. That's a very scary proposition for America and for NATO, if they're going to be putting all their troops out of Ukraine and into that border region. I don't know which one you want to cover
absolutely.
first, but both of those are really interesting.
Yeah, the first one with Musk. I
Mm,
mean, the damage that he had done, with gutting these agencies. You have the nuclear agency that basically, I mean, I frankly am not going to sleep, you know, sound at night knowing that this agency is understaffed. And at the same time, we're seeing real world consequences with other agencies he gutted because you had the National Weather Service. I believe it was Kentucky that was
yeah,
understaffed, and this resulted in 40 something people being killed from the
yeah.
tornadoes this weekend. I mean, this is leading to deaths,
Is
and
it
this is
Oklahoma? It might
exact.
have been Oklahoma. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. Was
Yeah, it
it,
was one of the states that were
yeah,
hit,
yeah, yeah.
and they were understaffed. They didn't have anyone overnight, and frankly, this is happening across all national weather services. That they are so short-staffed that there are, times that there is no one there,
She's
and
crazy. Like, it's the weather doesn't stop. The weather
exactly.
continues 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there's a hurricane, people need to know that there's a hurricane. It can happen in the middle of the night. You can't not staff those positions. The same with these nuclear
Especially
facilities.
Exactly, especially tornadoes,
Hmm.
because these are, pop up and you really need to be monitoring. At least with a hurricane,
Hmm.
you have, some kind of like indicator, like the storm. You can kind of watch the pattern, the movement of it. But tornadoes are sporadic. And the fact that, this and the nuclear agency, it's got it. I mean, this is really, I mean, I don't understand. I do understand what they're doing, but it's very dangerous what they're doing
It is
because they're
because
leaving America defenseless and American people, in danger to the point, like I said, if we had proper coverage this weekend when these deadly tornadoes, were hitting all the states, maybe we wouldn't have had 40 something people die, I mean,
And it's top of that, they don't have FEMA. So even after the events happen, when these areas are completely, damaged and recovering, they don't have the staff to go in there to do the recovery work with FEMA supporting them, which has always been such a pride of America's response. Of course, FEMA
yeah,
still exists, but it's severely understaffed and doesn't have the
yeah.
resources it needs. And these nuclear facilities, I mean, a split second in a nuclear accident can cost millions of lives. Never mind, a few. So it's
And then
really,
factor in China and
yeah,
Russia and Iran and every other,
yeah,
actor who has been for a decade, over a decade, crawling inside the, nuclear, like with cyber attacks.
yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is dangerous. And frankly, I mean, my advice is just call every single representative from local to Congress. That's it. I mean, I am to a point, I'm not a really political person, and I'm to a point that I'm calling my Staten Island, councilman asking, like, why the hell is this happening? And he's like, I'm in New York. I'm like, I don't care. You have power. contact someone who has more, you know.
It's a good point.
eh,
Yeah, I mean, this is really concerning this nuclear stuff because, you point out there's cyber actors in the grid already. Already, they can shut down power. They can do all sorts of things because they're already embedded there. And if there's not enough, staff to even secure our nuclear facilities, many of them are the power facilities we're talking about. We could have blackouts. We could have all sorts of things happening. So we saw it happening in Spain and Portugal just about a
yeah.
month ago. There's a big blackout. No one knows exactly why, and it looks like we're keeping our entire nuclear facilities, including those power grids, unprotected at some hours, which is really quite insane when you think about it.
And someone said, how do you stop him? One, by keep posting about this, sharing these
Hmm.
stories, because the more people that know, the more people can engage. And the second is to call everyone. Call, email, text. I mean, there are a million ways to, you know, get to your congressional leaders and local leaders. Call everyone. That's it. Just keep calling. Enough people call. This will put pressure for them to start rolling some of this back.
And that goes for everything that's happening right now, including this big, beautiful bill. I mean, as they call it, which is not obviously. Everyone, can use their voices, especially if they live in Republican districts, to pressure your congressman not to go ahead. This is a terrible bill. It's going to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and a whole bunch of other things. It's really no
Yeah.
good. Well, that's not the most.
Oh, and then the Western intelligence.
Mm,
So we've covered this before, but since
mm,
January, many, European from every country, practically in Europe, intelligence and defense officials have seen signs that Russia is preparing attacks on a NATO country, and everyone varies between 2 years to, before 2030. This latest alert, so this isn't Trump related, except that Russia now is emboldened because of Trump basically rolling out the red
rolling over,
carpet
and
for
yeah.
their genocide and for their, increase in how you call it, their kinetic activities. But this has been going on for a year and a half now. I mean, we have had so many warnings coming out of Europe, that the Baltics are in line of danger. Poland is in line of danger. Finland is in line of danger. You've seen a lot of sabotage, arson operations happening across, Europe, assassinations. And here, this newest report said that should, Ukraine fall, which is something, again, we've discussed this, that Russia will move, upwards to 800,000 military personnel onto the borders of NATO countries. Now, Russia in 2021, before they launched a full-scale invasion, used Zapad war games with Belarus to start moving and making
Right.
preparations. And they worry that this year, because it happens in September, Sabad, the military exercises, they worry that this year they're gonna, start using these war games as military exercises as cover to start moving equipment and whatnot. And let's not forget that, Belarus is on the border with Lithuania and Poland.
Hmm.
We've already seen, Russia run many operations via Belarus on Poland and Lithuania. Something that really needs to be monitored. And then Trump, at the same time, simultaneously, which I documented the other day in the tracker, basically is they are in discussions to pull out U.S. troops out of Europe by ends year.
Which is just
Um,
unbelievable to think that in this climate, when you've got the Russian threat so elevated, you've got the potential for them moving 800,000 troops onto the border there with NATO, that America would be pulling out their troops from Europe is as clear a statement as anything that that Donald Trump is not playing on the side of the allies at all,
no,
and
no,
he's really operating as a Putin branch, as a asset. There's nothing else that you can say about it. If he's pulling out troops in this threat environment with this such elevated risk, it's just plain to see what's going on. Well, that's not
yeah,
very.
and back in the Soviet days, you had the Soviet Union that actually had, control of countries, but then you also had satellite states. And at this point, I feel like we are becoming a satellite state and carrying
Hmm.
out Russia's, strategic geopolitical goals, assisting them in it. And this is what Trump has been doing, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's with Europe. You see Trump at every turn assisting Russia with their goals. That is in direct danger of our national security.
Absolutely, because if he can get Trump to stay out of a war in Europe, if he intends to attack those countries on the European Russian border, and if America stays out of that because Trump doesn't get involved and he's pulled out all the troops, well, then you've got a real situation that potential massive world war underway, and Trump and Putin get away with getting some of these countries. With America in the game, he can't do it. But with America not on the field, he can absolutely find a way to get some of these countries on its border, which is really terrifying. The only good
Yeah.
news I had to share today was about Musk being saying that he's staying out of politics for now. So that's about it. The only silver lining I can
Yeah,
find
but
in a
don't
day full
trust
of.
it because I don't. He embedded all his operatives
Yeah, no.
everywhere. So, but yes, it's good. At least we don't have to see his stupid face and running
I was trying
around
to
with
get a
a cane.
smile out of
So,
you.
yeah. And so now I'm asked if he's going to lock us in. I mean, frankly, I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't want to go near a border right now because, the borders are extremely dangerous for Americans
Going in
who
and
are
going
coming
out. They've
back.
got checkpoints on the way out of America now as well, which I found really
Yeah, and
interesting.
checking
It's
your
weird.
phones and
Mm.
whatnot. I don't know if you'll fully be able to seal the border, but I mean, wouldn't it be something where you see Americans, exodus into Canada and Mexico and immigration reverse
Well, I
because,
think that's why they're doing the checkpoints on the way out. Is they want to intimidate people not to cross the border, but they also are obviously trying to get a list or get some data around people exiting the country. It never used to be that
no,
you'd cross a border and they would check you on the way out. They check you on the way in, and Canada checks you on the way out, on the way into Canada, not the other way
yeah,
around.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so it's really weird that they're doing that up in Seattle area and in the Northwest. But we'll keep an eye out on that. That is
yeah.
the Trump tyranny tracker today. Wow,
One more,
one
one
more. Give us
more,
one more.
very
Give us one more.
quickly.
Okay.
One more. The transportation
Oh,
secretary
that's a good
at
story.
our after you see what is happening, Denver airport, outage where they lost sight of planes. Newark
New
apparently is
York happens all the
happening.
time.
Yeah, like literally at the airport by me. I'm scared. But in the process, Duffy did not miss the opportunity to sell his stocks before Trump announced his tariffs. And this again just goes to show you every single official from the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, to now Duffy, to Marjorie's Taylor Greene, every single one of them. I mean, like, besides you and I, apparently, everyone profited and had insider info into, Liberation Day and all of Trump's, moves that were going to shock the markets and made money off of it. This is
Yeah.
incredible.
So
So,
he sold his stocks 2 days before the tariff pause was announced. I think, if I'm not mistaken, is that right? Or
yeah, yeah,
okay,
I believe the pause or Liberation Day. It
maybe
might
it
have
was
been
Liberation Day.
before.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know.
but bottom line, he made close to about $650,000 from information that you, I, and every single person in this, chat and everyone, who's not affiliated with Trump, they all made money. The rest of us had no clue what's coming, what percentage of tariffs, who's getting tariffed, nothing. But these people, and we used to have an SEC for this, particular
No, I
thing
mean,
to invest. No
they're all
more.
busy raking in the money themselves. They haven't got time to
Yeah.
investigate it. Trump himself made a lot of money on those tariffs as well as did many of the insiders around him. It's despicable, really. And at the same time, about Mike Duffy, I mean, it's not Mike Duffy. It's uh, so
Something Duffy.
Duffy. I mean, this
Steve
guy
Duffy, I
is
think.
about the worst transportation secretary ever. We went from Pete Buttigieg, who was amazing at this job, no incidents in FAA, no accidents in the aviation world at all, and suddenly this guy comes on board, and you can't even staff
Sean,
the
thank you.
FAA. And it's Sean, thank you. And it's just embarrassing and then he's making so much money off his job by having all this insider information. He's not even competent in his job.
and
Um,
and this is happening as our nation's airports. I mean, people are mentally traumatized. Can you?
mhm.
I would have a heart attack on the spot. Imagine you're staring at a screen watching, radar on whatever 10, 15, 30 arrivals or plane movements, and suddenly the thing goes dark and you don't
Yeah,
know who's anywhere. Each plane is carrying 300 people.
it's
I mean,
crazy. It's
I
such a
would
busy
have
airport.
yeah, I would have a heart attack if this happened.
Yeah.
And as you have our infrastructure failing, the man is profiting 650,000 overnight in a second just because he
Obviously,
knew
yeah.
what was coming.
He had time to call his stockbroker. He didn't have any problem doing that.
No, no.
Not that nothing was too important to keep him away from that. Well, that is the Trump tyranny tracker today. Thanks for giving me a laugh at the
Had to
end there,
get
at
that
least.
one in. The
We've seen a lot.
corruption.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy what's going on. We've really seen how they're weaponizing the Department of Justice against critics. We've seen how they're compromising media independence at CBS. The deliberate weakening of our critical national security infrastructure, the nuclear facilities. We've heard about all the corruption and the insider trading. We are really seeing authoritarianism take hold in the United States of America. And the best place to find out about what's happening every day is on Olga Lautman's Trump Tyranny Tracker. That's trumptyrannytracker.substack.com. Check it out. Please subscribe. And if you get the option to be a free subscriber or a paid subscriber, for all the hard work that Olga's done over the years, and now and I know she's too humble to even ask, but it is important that we support her in every way possibly. So if you can, please support her with a paid subscription. It's
Likewise. You do
yeah,
this with me, and then you have the 3 o'clock coming up. You're 5 stacks, so likewise. I mean,
we
you've
all do what
been
we can,
nonstop.
but
I think you're working midnight, 9 a.m. I mean, all day long. It's
well,
like
I was saying this
our
about
life.
you, so you get to listen to me about how great you are, and I hope people do support you through paid subscriptions, because I know you don't really ask for that, but it is important that you get supported. Especially, it's just times are complicated now. There's a lot more to think about as we do this kind of work, and especially if you're in the United States, you want to be careful about all these things. You have to be thinking
We're going to
about
be
things.
doing this work from the gulag. I'll find an internet connection to
We
this
might need
document
to. We might
in
need
El
to.
Salvador.
Oh, this
Oh,
is dark
God, what a
humor.
nightmare.
Well, I'll be back at 3 o'clock. Dean's still away, but we'll do a quick 5 stack at 3 p.m. Thank you very much for being here on the Trump Tyranny Tracker. We will be back tomorrow with day 121 of the administration. Thanks for being here. Have a great day,
Bye.
Olga. Bye.
Bye.